Reaction now from tech expert Toby Shapshak, who joins us via Skype. So, Toby, the Commission says there's scope to reduce data prices by between 30 and 50%. This is a huge decision.
It's huge. It really is big. It's confirmation of what most South Africans can tell you and what most think tanks and analysts and commentators have been saying for years. The cost of data is simply too expensive. Now, there's going to be a lot of reaction to this. The networks are going to say it's hard and it's difficult. I'm sorry, but it isn't. These are market conditions that you have to operate within, and the Competition Commission has quite rightly found that there's something of a duopoly in South Africa between MTN and Vodacom. And you've seen over the years aggressive attempts by Virgin Mobile, Cell C, Telkom Mobile, and a whole bunch of other operators to bring the cost down, and yet because Vodacom and MTN own the biggest share of the market and they're not interested in a price war, the prices simply haven't come down. So if the operators complain, they really don't have anyone else to blame but themselves for not being more aggressive in how they've reduced their prices. And we're not talking about something that's never been done before. We've seen this kind of very aggressive competition for pricing in a whole bunch of other markets, from Europe to Kenya to the States, where there is real competition. Prices come down because operators and companies are really competing against each other. And there's always been a suspicion in South Africa, and I think the Competition Commission has borne that out today, that there is a duopoly and a lack of competition in South Africa.
Yeah, so you, of course, know these network service providers very well. They might be putting up a fight, but do they embrace it going forward, offering better deals for South Africans and in that way make more revenue, or do they actually fight it because they're greedy?
Well, let's hope it's the former, isn't it? Because, you know, they've you know, I don't think anyone could have worse publicity at the moment than, apart from Cricket South Africa, than the networks. So the networks really are in a position where they can play it either way, and I'm quite sure they're being advised to play it the former, which is to bring their costs down, to restructure things. They've had a very lucrative and a useful set of offerings now that have brought them a lot of money, but that ship has sailed, and the Competition Commission has quite rightly said that they can bring their prices down. And this is on the back of an enormous process. I mean, it's been deeply frustrating watching this very painstakingly slow process going on for the last few years. ICASA, the independent regulator, has allowed the Competition Commission to run through it. And of course, at every time that I've spoken to various officials at ICASA and regulators, they have said quite clearly that this is the legal process they have to follow. This is the legal route that they have to follow in a situation where there is, frankly, competition. So this is a competition issue as opposed to any other regulatory issue. And the Competition Commission quite rightly has found that they could be cheaper, a third to half. Yeah. That's a big saving for most people. And of course, the quote that stood out for me is biased against the poor. And that really is the case, isn't it? The more you can spend on data, the higher the cost of the packages, the better you deal. The less you spend on data, which is obviously the poorest of the poor, they are getting the worst deal. And this has been obvious for a long time. But now we have years of research, years of statistics put together, and I don't think the operators have a choice but to do the right thing.
And hopefully they do the right thing. Thanks for your analysis. That's tech expert Toby Shapshak.